right, welcome to another episode of Match Analysis. This time we are taking a look at Champions of the Realms number 2. This is week 7, top 8. So down to the wire. I believe there's only one more qualifying week left before the finale. So there are 6 players that are not allowed in the event. They've already qualified. And I believe Gur was the reigning champion, but he is going to be making a return here and looking to see if he can claim a spot. This is also the grand finals here, and if we look at the characters that we've got going on here, we do have Shiva and Geras. There she's standing up. So we are going to be having some Shiva here. This is going to be our only Shiva set. I know the Pro Tour, both sides had some Shiva nonsense going on in both of those, but this is going to be our one look at Shiva here in Champions of the Realm. And this is going to be Achilleez versus Gur. Gur currently on the winner's side here, and this is grand final, so all the way down to the end. And let's see what these two players are up to. First things first, though, we like to check out the variations here. So let's take a look at what the builds are that we have. So from Achilleez, the Shiva player, we have Enhanced Dragon Drop. Expected, right? I think that is one of the moves that has been definitely getting a lot of attention lately, to the point of, the why did NRS do this, drama llama that happened. There's definitely been some controversy around this move as of late, and it's definitely been making waves in the Pro Tour as well. I was just talking about it briefly, that in the Shiva's been doing stuff. It's because of Enhanced Dragon Drop. Not only is the Stomp good, but the Enhanced Dragon Drop allows you to direct it a little better, so it's that much harder to avoid. Once people know how to avoid it, you can predict their avoidance and then blow that up. And additionally, you can start to delay it, I believe, as well, which is, it just makes it that much harder to really pin down where you need to be to get out of the way of, let's face it, an unblockable that in some cases leads back into itself, right? She's plus enough to do it again, and you got to play the dance again. If you're in the corner, you can't even move out of it anymore. It can be a rough situation. So we'll see how Achilleez ends up applying that here to Gur. Now, the other ability she's got is the Queen's Punishment. That's going to be a low. Shiva's got a handful of overheads, so that low is going to complement those by giving her access to a low tool. And when you amplify it, it prevents movement, which is great when you couple that with the Stomp. So those two abilities really well synergized. And then it looks like we got Dragon Stance. That is going to be the fireballs. Very powerful stuff. Definitely been the other kind of ability that people have really been talking about. What's going on, Berserker? How's it going, one-hand stance? I feel you, man. Salt is definitely a thing. No worries, no worries. And then over here on Gur's side, he's got the Sand Simulacrum. That's the clone there. That sand clone, incredibly strong. Really cool tool. Gives him mobility options, gives him plus frames when he blows it up. I think Sand Clone, super cool. Quicksand, so that's going to be the change on the Sand Trap or whatever. That's going to be, I believe Quicksand is the judo chop to the neck where he gets in. So I don't think it's going to necessarily matter with Shiva per se. Shiva's not going to be running away, but it does allow Geras to basically get in if it ever gets to a distance. And I guess, Shiva players have been throwing a lot of fireballs, so it could get to a zoning war. And then he's got the Shifting Sand. That's going to disrupt Shiva's movement. We'll see if that ends up making a significant impact. I have seen some wild things with Shifting Sand, such as Sub-Zero sliding in place on top of the sand instead of actually getting across it, which is... It's just been some pretty gnarly stuff. So Shifting Sands is really cool. We'll see what ends up happening with it here. But opening moves, Shiva's going right in, it looks like. Yeah, Shiva is just a swinging. And then straight into those fireballs. Now, what you see immediately from Gur, and this is a true sign of a supreme competitor, is immediately these flawless blocks start coming out. Flawless block, back-to-back flawless blocks in those last two, and he's going to be likely consistently doing that throughout the set. If Achilleez is going into those fireballs, they do not jail, so there is a flawless block gap within them, and you can definitely expect Gur to be finding that. And here's our first stop of the day, Gur trying to get away from it. You see the backdash attempts, you see him trying to move out of the way. He's at full screen, but I think once she's up there, you basically get free roam on your movement because you're not restricted by your opponent holding the screen back, and not able to get out of the way. The Stomp has just been a very difficult tool, and we are talking about the aimed one, so Achilleez may have chosen to put it behind Gur, for example, which would have been problematic. You know, there's definitely some things to consider here with it, but the stomp nonetheless making an appearance very early and likely to be kind of what we continue to see throughout the set. That stomp is just so powerful that I would expect to continue to see it here. This is all grounded and uncontestable here. And that puts the bleed. That bleed now, and you can see there's blood kind of squirting off of Gears. While that blood is squirting off of him, he cannot move. He actually chooses to move, and he's taking damage for it, but he had to move to get away from the stomp. And now here's another thing, too, about the stomp, a good example of it. We see Achilleez go for another stomp, and he's got the bleed in his opponent, so he feels confident that he can lock his opponent down, right? And because he's got his opponent locked down, well, that's a perfect time to stomp. So Gur is willing to take the damage from moving, and he actually gets out of the way of the stomp. Very, very nicely done. He avoids the stomp. Awesome. But even with his 7-frame jab, not able to get the punish, which is, that's so unfortunate. I mean, look, she's underneath it, it looks like. Yeah, it went underneath. While she was standing up, she was underneath it. That is a heartbreaker. That is definitely a bit of a heartbreaker there. So Gur not going to be able to get the punish here, and he has a significant life lead that he needs to start making up for here. More pressure now from Achilleez. Going to go straight into that Shokan grab. And the Amplify gives you that bleed, which just is going to force Gur to have to sit here and hold that. But you see here from Gur, he's reducing the chip here. Flawless block. Definitely coming up on that first one. And I believe the straight ones may be jailed there because it looked like the damage was in that smaller range as well. And here's the shifting sands. Escape failed, doesn't matter here for Gears though. No crushing blows. And another shifting sands. Now, the thing about shifting sands, I don't know if, I believe it does mess with people's air trajectory, but the way that Shiva's teleport works is that she doesn't have to like actually travel to you. She travels straight up off the screen, and then she reappears out of the sand. So the sand is not going to really alter or mess with the trajectory of the Shiva stomp. I don't think that that's going to be a tool that will deal with that. It will deal with a bunch of other stuff. Shiva's got really good advancing normals, etc., but it's not going to deal with the stomp. Look at this nice combo here from Gur, and going to be into the corner. Is that going to crush? Not quite, but 318 is really good damage. And now he's got to get away, but again, just, it's so ambiguous. The stomp is so ambiguous. Here's another one. And he teleports out of it. And that actually looked like the teleport might have been a little late, but you can see the building blocks of an idea here from Gur. Gur has decided that it's been a little bit too difficult to get out of the way of the stomp by just moving around. You know, Achilleez has been catching him, so he's got a backup plan. He's got a contingency where he's going to be like, okay, well, if I'm going to get caught by this, then let's go ahead and put a sand clone up, and I can escape to that. And that will likely be another tool in the arsenal that Gur is going to be looking to tap into here to avoid the stomp. If he's got a clone on the screen, the stomp is going to be that much less reliable. Oh man, back to back here with these stomps, and that was enough to get the crushing blow here. So Achilleez, that's I believe the first time he's even been tapped, and it's a poke. Gur is going to find a hit, but I mean, look at this massive life lead that Achilleez is currently working with here. And this is Gur trying to turn it around. And this is the kind of thing that, as a player, you should, honestly, you should see more of it, right? Like, spending your Fatal Blow as soon as you've got it, just to get that big chunk of damage. I think that some characters, they can do maybe a little bit more with it, but we'll see. And here goes the chip out. Yep, nicely done by Achilleez. So we saw Gur trying to turn it around here. You know, he's got these clones coming out. He tried to even right here after the Fatal Blow. He gets the clone set up, and he tries to teleport away. This is the startup of the teleport that he gets hit out of, but not able to get it out in time. And that's just going to really start to push him to the brink. And, of course, that clean down one gives him the hit advantage that he needs to guarantee those mid follow-ups have to be blocked. And with Gur not having any life left, blocking is also death. You know, typically blocking that kind of stuff is not the end of the world, but when the resources are that low, it does become that much more lethal. So we're going to move now into game number 2 here. And this is, you know, the one thing to consider as well is Gur has time to work this out. He is on the winner's side. You can tell by this W here next to his name. Achilleez is on the loser's side. So because Gur's on the winner's side, Achilleez needs to reset the bracket first. Essentially, Achilleez needs 6 wins, and right now Gur can take it if he gets 3 wins before Achilleez does get 3. Granted, if he gets 2 wins and then the bracket gets reset, those 2 wins go away, mind you. So it could end up being a case where Gur still ends up needing to get quite a few wins, but he can close it out quicker. And he's got time to kind of figure this out. So, and particularly with Shiva, trying to figure out maybe some sort of pattern that you can sort of guess or figure out from the way that Achilleez is applying the stomp. Any kind of pattern or a way that you can exploit it is going to be huge. Here's a nice punish here from Gur as well, able to find the right movement. Look at that corner carry too. How far were we? So let me see. This is the combo. Not quite into the corner. Gets the clone setup though. Teleports out. Here's the cage interactable, which is just outside of the corner. And this combo, or this scoop right here off of a tick grab, is going to bring it to the corner. Not enough for the crushing blow. Still a little shy for that, but still. Ooh, that's actually a punish there. And just here's the stops. Look at that interactable usage here. The key thing about this interactable usage, I think, too, is this interactable has a very specific set animation that your character stands in a certain spot to do a certain thing, but just because the character during the animation stands in a certain spot, he's not limited to it being activated at that spot, right? So there's this whole window of space that you can activate the interactable, but when you do choose to activate the interactable, it puts you specifically over here. So he was standing here, and then when you go for the interactable, immediately over here. And if he had been closer to the other side, I believe you do it from this side as well. Looks like the rope, travels out to both sides. Which is weird because it did look like he was closer to there. But for whatever reason, it pushes him over to this one. It may have even been because of the screen shifting from Achilleez, because here you see these Ninja Turtle feet coming down for him. But he's completely moved out of the way. This is way further than his dash had ever gotten him. And we're talking about Gears who doesn't have an advancing move. So this interactable usage allows him to get significant mobility. Very briefly, one-time use, but I mean, it's going to cash out in good damage on top of it, right? You're dropping almost 20% on top of them, and Gears' movement is still sufficient enough. Sneaking out of that stomp there at the end. It's a quick chop. Nice bait on the get-up attack there. Shiva's get-up attack is quite strong. You see a lot of players, and I mean, definitely at the lower levels. Achilleez obviously not at the lower level, but you see it quite a bit. It's a very popular thing to just go for the get-up attack. She doesn't have, she doesn't have other stuff that spends that defensive meter. Now, technically, if he was running the March move, maybe, but that's not in the arsenal. Look at this big, huge sequence here from Gur, though. And this is kind of the power of Gears in a lot of ways. Here he finds an opening, full damage into setup, right? He sees that there's a breakaway available. And Gur's armor break is not the best. It's quicksand, so it's decent, and it's a crushing blow if you get it, which is awesome. But the thing about it ends up being that because quicksand's a low, and people get launched into the air, sometimes it'll end up whiffing on you. I mean, that's honestly is just the biggest problem with it. It only hits way down on the ground, and if they're too high up from a big launcher or whenever they break away, it can be difficult to get the exact timing on when you need to get the breakaway to actually get broken with the armor break. So instead of opting for a launcher here, he just lets Achilleez keep your defensive meter and goes into a sand clone setup. Now, these sand clone setups are incredibly deadly. It's like plus 12 on block when it blows up, and here in this instance, didn't need to blow it up because Achilleez was doing something. He got caught pushing a button here. Oh, he got caught trying to jump, so he's trying to jump from perhaps a throw or command grab attempt. But Gur is not going for a command grab attempt. He's swinging with this big old boot, which not only hits his opponent, but then the clone pops them up for big damage. Cash out with the crushing blow, 41%. And that did cost him some meter to do, but still, huge numbers. And that's the string to close it out. Very nicely done there by Gur. You look at the momentum that Gears is capable of securing, it is insane. And that was just one crushing blow in the kit. He still has two other really massive crushing blows that are huge threats. One of them is fuzzy blockable, so I don't think that maybe the overhead or quicksand one was really gonna be as much of a threat to Achilleez. I'm sure Achilleez has the timing down for that, but you do still have to worry about the forward 2 crushing blow, for example. That's a 34% snap of the femur, and it's off of a 12 frame mid on counter hit. Like, if you do anything unsafe or even get caught sort of wiggling around too much in neutral, it can cost you big time. So we're gonna continue to see Shiva, it looks like. Excuse me. So we'll see what's gonna happen here. And immediately, first opening move, round 1, doesn't go with the aggression right away, but straight to stomp. Like, stomp is the star of the show on the Shiva stream. Like, that is what it's about. Here, back-to-back stomps, a third one incoming. This time around, Gur is able to find his way out, but it's a guess, right? It's a guess. It's a guess, and it's also a little execution strict, because you have to make sure you've got your movement timing proper. If you fuck up your dashes, or if your character doesn't have good enough dashes, it can also end up catching you. So Gur was able to get the right movement here, and here is that 34% crushing blow I was talking about. Just snaps the leg, and that's all uncontestable. Nothing could be done to stop that. Guaranteed. The other thing, too, to note from this is Gur had avoided a teleport earlier, or the stomp earlier, and he went for the standing one, and it didn't hit. And you can see that Gur has sort of noted that, and he's not going to do it again. So now, when he gets a stomp to whiff, he goes with the mid. There's no way that Shiva is going to be ducking underneath that mid. So that adjustment from Gur, realizing that his timing was maybe a little too fast, the jab might have been a little bit too aggressive, just going to go for a different move that is guaranteed going to hit. Some of the problems with the jab timing and how strict it may be are not problems associated with that mid. And quicksand setup immediately after. And going to go right back into the quicksand as well. That quicksand about to wear out, though, and there it is. But again, just stomps. Stomps on stomps on stomps. This is Achilleez' game plan. We have another stomp coming through. This time, no punish, though. Oh, man, and just another stomp. I want to say that almost all of the damage that Gur has even taken here thus far has been from stomp. Stomp has just been netting so much damage for Achilleez. I mean, it's an unblockable, and if it's good, you should abuse it. Like, this is what players should be doing. I understand that, you know, for some people it's an annoying case of like, oh, this is dishonorable or blah, blah, blah. But I think ultimately this is how it works. At the amount of money that NRS is putting up on prize pools and stuff like this, in the Pro Tour with how much money's on the line, you have to just play the dumbest, best stuff you can. This is totally within reason. This is in the game. This is how it's meant to be. So I don't have anything against players that are doing this. Now, what may end up happening and is likely going to happen is that this display will get these characters nerfed. But, I mean, we also saw Jackie, and Jackie has honestly not received any significant nerfs. The Flawless Block nerf actually feels a little bit more significant as the game's progressed a little bit more. The upper tier players have been getting better and better at Flawless Blocking it, but, you know, they haven't really tanked the rest of the stuff. And part of that also means she has other abilities that nobody's ever going to see. So Gur has the round lead. Does not have the life lead, however, but that quicksand's able to get him in. And, I mean, this has just really become a game of, can you avoid the stomp, right? Just trying to shimmy out of the way, trying to predict that he's going to put it in front of you so you move behind, or he's going to put it behind you so you move forward. He's going to put it right on top of you so you just, you know, sprint away from that spot that you were in. Whatever it may be, the tracking on stomp is incredibly good. There you see Gur going for a forward and then back, and you know, just Achilleez just ends up coming down right on top of him. But we don't have any kind of button input or anything, so I don't know where Achilleez is steering these in addition to that. But if you look at that one that caught right here, I mean, he's on his way out. Like, this is catching his toe, right? And this is in the middle of the dash. Like, this hasn't landed yet. His foot hasn't retreated all the way yet either. So there's still movement to be done on gears continuing to back away. But regardless of that, just the hurt box of this ends up catching. I mean, if you told me that he got hit, I wouldn't believe you unless I saw what happened afterward, which I have seen it. We all know what happened. I already ran it too far on accident. But, I mean, like, the hitbox on this thing is fucking huge. So it catches him, puts him right into a crushing blow as well. 32% for that. And what does Achilleez do to follow it up? He goes for the best move in Shiva's arsenal. The move that, while he does risk it, he's got defensive meter right here to get away from it. So any kind of launcher from Gur isn't going to go anywhere. And he feels confident and comfortable. Just, I'm going to try to snag an extra, I don't know how much damage is. I think it's like 11%. Let's see right here. Well, 10%. I'm going to grab an extra 10% here. And I'm just going to keep going for that. And on hit, it's plus enough. So, like right now, the Gur did do a delay get up. So this is maybe a bad example. But, okay, nice. Got to whiff that time. But it's able to be blocked afterward. Like, she recovers quite quickly from it. You have to be on point with your punish attempts. So let's see. He's going for Stomp. So it looks like you guys kind of reset at about maybe the same time. I'm not actually sure. Some people have said that Stomp is plus, but Gur is now he's trying to jump. I don't think this is going to get him away from it either, though. I think Achilleez is going to... Okay, no. That wasn't a jump. What? Why did it look like that? Oh, weird. Okay, I don't know. Yo, what's going on, Hound Dog? But, man, just... that one looked like it might have been a delay there from Achilleez, and Achilleez able to take game number 3. So now the lead in Achilleez' favor. The stomps have been effective here. I think for this next fight, well, I kind of know what's gonna happen, but I'm gonna count the stomps that connect. We're gonna count the stomps. I think that's an important thing to consider the damage. We know it's very easy math to do. They hit for 10% apiece. And I think that's a very key component of the game plan. And I'm really curious to see, when you look at how much damage is done overall, how much of it is stomps versus other stuff. I think that there is what one would consider an unhealthy or unnecessary amount if it's too heavily in one's favor. So if it's like 80% of the damage is stomps, that is rough to justify and to say this is how it should be. Now, granted, the players should be abusing it and letting the world know this is broken, they should fix this, and if they don't, this is how the game is to be played. This is their vision, right? Like, you guys have the opportunity to adjust it. If you don't want to adjust it, then that would indicate that's how they want it to be. And if that is how they want it to be, then it's up to players to find answers to deal with it, and if they can't, get stomped on. So that's what Achilleez' approach is he's found something that is very tough to deal with, takes very precise timing and inputs to get out of, and can be ambiguous because there's some bit of a guessing game to it as well. That it doesn't matter how precise you are. If he's predicting your movement, you're going to get caught because you're moving right into it. And if that's how it's meant to be, that's how it's meant to be. So these players are definitely, they're after the bag. Cannot fault them for it at all. It's up to NRS to decide to make any change if they want it to be changed. Maybe they want it to be this way, and if that's the case, everybody else better get good. That's just how it is. Ooh, big flawless block attack. You love to see it. Hasn't really been a factor here because so far Achilleez has been focusing his damage on Stomp, but as soon as he does go for some of that offense, Gur was ready for it. That traditional offense came out, and Achilleez got caught.
This is pretty wild.
Trying to swing a little bit.
Achilleez is doing a really good job.
Ooh, nice. Here's the throw. And honestly, I think this is one of the first few times that we've seen Achilleez throw. Like, Achilleez is here in game 4, started to shift the game plan from maybe a little less stomps. As soon as I say that, of course, we do see another stomp coming through. And back to back on that one, but Gur's been getting away. Backs away. Oh, here comes the fatal blow. And that is going to be punishable. Gur will take the round off this one, too. So, a bold play there by Achilleez. In some ways, I'm a little shocked just going for the raw fatal blow there, but the other half of it is that Gur has shown he's been able to get around everything else. So, wow, look at that movement here from Gur. I mean, this teleport doesn't even take him that far, but he makes sure to do it at the right timing, and because he does this, gets away. And even then, it looks like he had to move afterward. It genuinely looked like he had to move afterward, I think. What happened? Where were we at? I got lost. Okay, hold on. Never mind. Yeah, he still had to move. Even with the teleport, he still had to move out of the way. Now, granted, he gets out of the way, but barely. And that time is able to get the full punish here. Now he does have the clone. He's just going to use the clone on the teleport there, and that's just going to give him a different sort of approach. And here, going for a tick throw, but because the first hit hits, if the first hit hits, the grab will not connect. So he was anticipating Achilleez would block, and Achilleez eats the hit to get a whiff and a punish, and now we're just right back to Stomp City. This is 3 stomps in a row. No meter for the crushing blow, because that is the requirement, is to get 3 in a row. So not only is that, you know, it's in some ways promoted, right? The game wants you to hit multiple stomps. Now, they don't have to be back-to-back. It just needs to be a stomp without missing. And looks like Gur was able to successfully cause one to miss, so doesn't have to worry about that crushing blow for the time being. And if Gur gets any kind of hit confirmed, he will kill off of it, I'm sure, with this fatal blow. 6 frame down 1. Achilleez is trying to answer back. The ooh gets opened up by the low. Now this isn't going to go anywhere too big. It does give Gur the life lead. That's the armor break. Wow. This is big. So Gur takes the life lead by getting this quicksand. Up until this quicksand hit, by the way, the life lead is in Achilleez' favor, I believe. But because he finds this opening here off the chip, this makes it so the life lead is no longer even a debate. Like, I think you could, maybe there's a debate here. They don't have the health numbers on, so I can't tell exactly who has it. I will say, though, Gur and Achilleez probably did have their health numbers on, so they knew. But it doesn't matter because Gur now does get the life lead, guaranteed, and he just backs away. And I'm not sure if this is Achilleez just hasn't really put a ton of effort into his Shiva, because this is now the second wake-up fatal blow that we've seen from him, and I don't think either of them have worked out. So this time around, Gur has plenty of space, to the point where Achilleez had plotted out and intended to do this wake-up fatal blow eons ago. Like, look at, like, Gur wasn't even approaching him, and he still was like, wake up fatal blow, I must do it. And so the wake-up fatal blow was a plan that Achilleez had in mind and was going to make it happen. And because Gur was able to not only be away from him, but back away even further, that gives Gur enough time to see, oh, this forearm bitch is coming right at me. Well, I have an armor breaker, so let's go ahead and apply that. And that is going to be the kill. He goes for the brutality, so we don't get to see the crushing blow for the big 30, but we do get to see Shiva get her eyes popped out, and Gur ties the set up. What a play there from Gur. I really like the presence of mind to see, oh, you're coming at me with an armored move, I'll go ahead and snap that armor, no problem.
I just want to put that out there. Anything else, and he would have got hit by the fatal blow.
Yeah, Destroyer just said it. Anything else, he would have been hit. If he would have tried to challenge with anything else other than his own fatal blow would have also broken it, but he didn't have it. He had too much health for that, I think. Oh no, he maybe had already used it or something, I'm not sure. I think he actually, no, it was low life enough where it would have been on the table, but I think maybe it had already been used or was on cooldown or something. But yeah, anything else, he would have died. So very, very smart presence of mind from Gur to know what tools are at his disposal and to sort of very quickly identify what offense is coming his way, and then very, like almost instantaneously, like, oh, well, I have a tool for that, and armor break is out doing the job. So very, very smart play from Gur. And I mean, when it comes to Gur and smart plays, it's going to be happening non-stop. Gur is one of my favorite players to watch because the way that he applies his game plan is not only incredibly clean, but it's just so cerebral. It feels like he is making all of these crazy decisions and reads and predictions, and it is incredibly fun and exciting to watch. And the other thing too is, it's not like a bunch of people are playing Gur's version of Geras. You know, there are other people that play the character. Obviously, Gur is not the only one, but Gur, it almost feels like, has his own unique kind of style to the character, and that is another part of what makes it so exciting. Speaking of styles, though, Achilleez' style is stomp and more stomp. So stomp, stomp, stomp is going to be tons of damage. Let's go ahead and take a look. That looks like at least 3 in a row here. Let's see how many stomps have been happening here for the damage done to Gur. So that's 1. When's the next time that Gur gets hit? I believe it's a throw, so that doesn't count. Okay, so this is just a throw. It doesn't count. So 1 stomp, 1 throw, 1 stomp, or 2 stomps, 1 throw, 3 stomps and 1 throw. That's all the damage. 3 stomps and a throw is how the damage is. Like, no combos, 3 stomps and a throw. Achilleez applies another stomp. Not going to find the mark, but I mean, like, that is what he's going for, is more stomps. And this should be the kill here. The judo chop going to snap the neck. Very nicely done with the armor break. Calling out the breakaway here as well. Gur's been doing a good job of not launching his opponent for the most part when they have breakaway. And when he finally does just decide to do it, he's ready. He's absolutely ready. And that is going to be the kill, now putting Gur on set point here. And that whole 60% light or damage that was done by 4 teleport stomps and a throw. That was it. Here's another stomp for the first 10% here. 15 because of the amplified. Ooh, big whiff. Gonna snap the leg as well. You don't have an extra one of those. Nice defense there from Gur. I mean, Achilleez is changing the approach up a little bit more, but I mean, that's a stomp trying to come out. So looking to try to take to the skies, not happening here. Plus frames. Nice poke out there from Achilleez. And the interactable. That's so good. One thing, too, about the interactables is for this brief moment where your character jumps up onto the thing, it seems like they are invulnerable. Like, what happens is they get off of the fighting arena. So, and a fireball, it's not armored. It's not an armor thing. They're just not there to be hit because they stepped out of the fight for a moment to jump off. Now, once they go back to being airborne, they are then hittable again. But a lot of these jumping interactables where they hop off of something, it feels like they kind of step out. And you'll see really good players actually expertly time those kind of things to go through things. Here comes a fireball that's going to kill me, and I can't block it. Or, well, I guess if you can't block it, you also can't get away from it with, like I guess the idea would be that you don't want to lose your defensive meter for chip. So instead of losing the defensive meter, you spend it to get in. Because if you sit there and block it, you'll lose the life. And you'll lose that defensive bar and then you don't have it. But if you spend it on the amplified or on the interactable to get in, now you've thrown your opponent off. You still have that defensive bar when it comes back a little bit. And you can potentially even get a big punish off of it. So I really like the way that works. And expert players will use that to avoid really key things. There it is again. Back to back. He's just emptying the defensive meter bank to stay away from these stops. Now, that second one did not have any, it was nowhere near a thing of the actual aspect where he jumps off of the stage briefly. That was more of the mobility aspect of it. You know, the stomp tracks really well, but it doesn't stomp enough to, or track enough to really follow you from here all the way over to here. That it's not going to do. And again with the big whiff. The clone is out, and there we go. Gur is able to bring it home. Achilleez tried to stomp his way to victory there. I want to say that the damage that he had done as well in this game, or in this round here, was almost all stomps. So the damage that he did in round 1 was 4 stomps and a throw, and here I think that was 2 stomps was the main chunk of that damage that he had done. So Achilleez doing the only stomps and not working out, but it honestly came close to resetting the bracket. Now, it did also look like a case of even if the bracket had been reset, Gur was slowly getting more and more accustomed to avoiding the telestomp and was going to have more and more answers for that. But Gur able to shut it down before it even got that far, and he takes it 3-2 over Achilleez. And this was in Champions of the Realm Week 7, so getting one of those last few spots to qualify for the finale. I believe there's 1 spot left. So, the gates are closing on that one, and that is up for grabs this week, actually. So, definitely make sure you guys tune in for that, because the final week is going to be coming up for Destroyer and Caboose's Champions of the Realm 2. And, of course, big shout-outs to Destroyer for giving me permission to review this footage. All of the entirety of this tournament is up on his YouTube channel, so if you want to check that out, make sure you go ahead and hop over there. You can see all of the matches. Not the grand finals is not the only good set in here, I promise. But, you know, there's so many good ones, we can only pick one. Or, well, we can only pick a handful. So this is the set that we went with. But definitely make sure you check it out. And, of course, you know, Week 8 is coming up. If you've got a PlayStation and an Ethernet cable, hop in there and start participating in Champions of the Realm as well. Right now, it is the biggest event in the grassroots of the scene. The only other thing we got is the NRS ran pro competition. But Destroyer out there doing it from the grassroots is really cool. So definitely want to support our content creators out there that are making sure that we have some cool events to participate in. But that is going to do it here for this first episode, and we're going to move through the rest of our footage here in just a moment.